this session on careers and energy vertical or energy. Um, my name is Senthil Kumar, so I'll be moderating this particular discussion. I have a few of my colleagues whom I'll be introducing a bit later. But just to let you know, the platform that we are using is it's a live platform. You can post in your questions, but we will run this particular session and then we will take up the questions at the end, and then direct the questions, to the right participants or right, the moderators within the session. Okay. So first of all, once again, thank you so much for your time. And just to let you know, Quest Global, is an engineering services company. Our passion is engineering. We are a pure play engineering services company, and globally we are around 18,000 people, right? And energy is one of our largest vertical, and that's exactly what we are here to discuss. And we will also do a kind of a dive into the careers, that you can actually enjoy, within the energy vertical. Right? So that's the whole purpose of this particular session. And with that, let me introduce the panelists. What we have, over here today. So we have Ajay Kumar, who's the global delivery head, for the energy vertical. Ajay, welcome. We have Patrick Flynn, who's the sales leader, for the power side of the energy vertical. And we have Krishnan, right? Krishnan leads the oil and gas practice at Quest Global, right? So, gentlemen, welcome so much for this live session, and thank you so much for your time. And, okay, so let me just quickly give a quick preamble as to what's happening within the energy vertical, right? I think all of us are hearing about various disruptions. We're talking about net zero, we are talking about sustainability. We are talking about, again, the oil and gas operations are coming back, right? Seeing the global demand for the oil and gas, and there is a slight shift towards, the new energies as well, right? With all these, disruptions, we also have digitalization as one of the key, key factors, which is shaping up this entire energy ecosystem, right? So with that, maybe let's just, maybe get started with the conversation. So Ajay, I mean, like, if I would request you to just give a quick, kind of a preamble towards what we do in energy vertical and what exactly are the conversations that we are having with our customers. So if you can give a quick brief, that'd be great, Ajay. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Sendil. And once again, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. As mentioned by Sandil earlier, so in energy space at Quest Global, this is our oldest vertical and one of the largest also. And I would not hesitate to say that we are very mature solution provider in energy vertical space. We are supporting our customers who are top Fortune 500 company across the energy value chain, starting from oil and gas to the power generation to the transmission and distribution. Let me go one level below. In oil and gas space, we have the large engagement with our customer in upstream, midstream, and downstream. We are supporting our customer to give them the product and the project solution in both the equipment provider in that space as well as the oil major who own those production plant as well as the refineries. Let me go right side, power generation. So power generation, we work across the product life cycle, whatever used into this space. So including the fossil-based power generation equipment, it can be a gas turbine and a steam turbine and the generator, or go to the renewable energy, which may be solar and the wind turbines. We have end-to-end offering. Now the last cycle is about transmission and distribution. We are heavily engaged with the top customers globally in this space also, transmission and distribution, and we are supporting them. So having said that, we are supporting across the value chain, across the product life cycle, across the project life cycle in the energy space. Back to you, Seth.
Yeah. Thanks, Ajay. I think you touched upon certain very vital points, right? I mean, we work across the energy value chain, right, and which talks about how the energy is produced, whether it is like maybe the fossil-based energy, or whether we are talking about the electrons or the electricity, and then how it is actually stored and transported and eventually lands up in the customer's hand or consumer's hand, right? So also, like I think good perspective, what the audience might be very interested in over here. I already see a lot of buzz in the chat chat window. Will be like, hey, what kind of, what are you seeing in, like, how are our customers responding to that, right? And how, and what kind of opportunities it is creating, right? So let me start with maybe Patrick. Patrick, give me your perspective about this, what you're hearing from the customers, especially since you are engaged with a lot of power players or power majors, right? So what are you hearing from them, and what kind of opportunities you think are being generated globally, within this energy, within the power side of the energy vertical?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Look, it's definitely an exciting time in the energy industry. It's definitely a transformative time where I think a combination of economic, environmental, and regulatory factors is influencing the investment in the future of power. So when you start thinking about the declining levelized cost of electricity for renewables today, coupled with those advancements in solar, wind, and storage technologies, renewables have really become competitive. So power companies today are having to take a hard look at evaluating their current asset base and really developing long-term strategies to balance those existing upgrade technologies with newer, more innovative and renewable technologies today. And in addition, into this transition, they're looking at alternative fuels. Like natural gas is still going to be a big player. The combined cycle efficiencies in the natural gas space today is over 60% efficient, and customers are heavily looking at those alternative fuels like hydrogen blends, and ultimately 100% hydrogen in those gas turbines to support renewable, especially with the intermittency of renewable energy. So, crucial to this is also upgrading and installing the new transmission lines. When you think about these investments, including high voltage DC lines to facilitate the integration of renewable energy sources, which will enable that transmission of electricity from renewable rich areas to high energy demand areas. And then they're also looking at grid improvements, energy storage solutions, demand response programs, and optimizing the efficiency of the grid for this intermittency of renewables. So when I look at Quest and I think about, the whole spectrum of what customers are looking today at from a power generation perspective, it's plant retirements. It's figuring out, how do I decommission those facilities? What do I think about in terms of repurposing those assets, redesigning existing plant layouts for renewable assets to take place? And so, in summary, the specific approach taken by each company is going to depend on factors like their existing asset portfolio, market conditions, regulatory environment, and long-term sustainability goals. But in any event, it's a great time to be in energy. I think Quest Global is really building the future talent to support this energy transition, and really looking forward to hearing from you guys.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Patrick. I think this is a very good perspective. I think you touched upon some repurposing the assets as well, or improving the efficiencies of the existing asset. I think that's such a good preamble for me to go to Christian over here, right? So Christian, from the oil and gas space, right? Again, if you heard what Patrick said, right? Especially on the repurposing of the assets and improving the efficiencies, and how the entire ecosystem is getting upgraded, right? So what's your perspective, when you are looking at oil and gas clients? You have been working with them for a long time, right? So what's your perspective, Christian?
Thanks, Senthil. Hi, everybody. I think I've been in the oil and gas industry for the last 34 years to be precise. And I think when I started working in the oil and gas industry, some of my well-wishers told me, hey, that's a wrong industry. You need to, we'll run out of oil in 10 years, so you'll lose your job. But not at all. But 34 years on, and it's still on. yes, there will be transition in the energy, and we are seeing that, and for the right reasons. Yeah, there will be an energy transition. Yes, of course. And having said that, the energy is something which is always needed. So there will be a transition. There will be, having said that, the oil and gas industry still has to service the chemicals, petrochemicals, polyurethane, and several fertilizers and several other things other than the fuel only. Yeah. So still there is a large amount of uh, work which the oil and gas industry has to service. Yeah. So that is still on. Yeah. So and that will probably continue even if we transition only the fuel aspect from fossil fuels to renewables. Right. So I think from an industry perspective, energy industry perspective, as well as an oil and gas industry perspective, there's continue to be sustained growth. I mean, with more and more energy consumption, with increased population and increased economic viability, the energy demand is only going to increase. Yeah, so which means we need more talent in this industry to actually keep this sustained and in fact growth. Yeah. There will be changes because there are environmental issues. There are the Paris Agreement, which we need to meet 45% emission reductions by 2030 or zero by 2050. All that will need a lot of engineering capability, right? And I think, agree with Patrick there, a pretty exciting time, no better time than right now to get into the energy industry as an energy professional, because there's a lot of work to be done. Yeah, I think in the last decade or so, we've seen a lot of technology, people moving towards the technology side, IT and digital. Of course, that is needed too. But looking at the energy industry, which is going to be core to human, growth, economic growth, I think there is a lot to be done here. From a career perspective, I think this is the place to be.
Thank you so much, Krishnan. I think it's a wonderful perspective that you brought in, a personal angle, right? I mean, about your career being 35 years in the industry, and and still you're going strong, right? I mean, that's an industry which is going to transform. We may not actually use the oil-based products in our cars, but definitely I think we will be using that in some other form, right? I mean, your entire you're talking about electric vehicle. The vehicle itself is actually made from a lot of fossil-derived products, right?
Yeah.
Even though you pump in electrons, right, instead of any kind of a fossil fuel, right? So very good perspective actually on that, right? Now, Ajay, let me I see you smiling over there, so I think the conversations are really going interesting, I guess, right? But from your point of view, Ajay, what is your thought? And especially, I would request you to bring in that digital angle, right? I mean, which we have been talking about all throughout, right? So what's your point of view, right? I mean, what kind of perspectives would you like to share with the engineers who are there in the call, right? How they should shape up their careers.
Yeah. So I want to start where Sandil stopped. So as Shiva was telling Krishnan, I think everybody, energy industries, they are looking how to reduce the emissions, and that is driving many customer disruptions now. So many oil and gas industries, they are redefining themselves as a energy customer, oil and gas industries. So they are moving towards, they can own some renewable energy plant and all. So that's what I have seen. Those conventional equipment provider which generate the power in energy space, they are making their product more suitable for green energy. So how the same product can take more hydrogen, also that change is going on. And third point is what Patrick was also talking. So when you add lot of these renewable powers, you need to transmit that power, or you have to take that power from one place to the other place, and that may be thousands miles. So during this transmission and distribution, we need to use HVDC technology. So we see a very good traction in the HVDC area, and it is not short term. I think our customer are full of order till 2032 and beyond. So that's the kind of traction we are seeing. So lot of happening thing in that, and lot many things are driven by this net carbon zero target by 2050. That's the one thing. Second thing is about what engineer should look into it. See, in Quest Global, we work across the product life cycle and the project life cycle. We help our customer to develop the new product, which is the big change from their existing product, and we support them from concept design to the aftermarket services. We help our customers to configure their product to their customer and customer needs. So we can call it order engineering and all. So we do that. We help our customer to sustain their products. That also we have been working in that space. All three space, lot of work happening into the sustenance, which you can call it uh, O&M also, operation and maintenance part of it. When these oil majors own many of these assets, and the aftermarket services for the power generation customers. Now, all these customers also using digital technologies to enhance their operations, to enhance their offering to the end customers. In fact, digital is playing a critical role. What I heard recently or read also, in Europe, the Middle East customer, they don't want to control their entire power generation plant locally. They want to manage it thousands mile away. So that's how this control system is getting cloudified. The data is going into cloud. From there, it is coming down, and somebody sitting thousands mile is maintaining and running that entire power plant. That's how digital enablement is happening. Nowadays, each machine is stuffed with many sensors. Many data has been, a lot of data has been generated from there. So somebody is analyzing this data. From that, they look what is the performance of the asset. They also look, okay, what is the down the line any failure for them. They predict the failure. That kind of models are available nowadays, because we cannot afford a random failure of a machine that will hurt our customer big way financially. So a lot of digital enablement is coming nowadays. People are coming with digital twin for the entire plant. So a lot of digital technologies are coming, which is helping this industry to improve their overall offering, the performance. Okay, over to you, Sandhya.
Yeah. Thanks, Ajay. I think very good perspective. I think especially from a digital point of view, right? I think everybody is underlying one particular fact. Okay, and if I have to sum up, what we have been talking internally at Quest and also within this particular panel. See, digital is a toolbox, right? I mean, it's a box of tools. You have AI tool, ML tool, DL tool. You have this data engineering tools and all those things. It is like how you apply that tool in the context of your engineering work, right? I think that is the key part of it, right? And so one thing which we have been consistently telling our engineers, and of course, we are telling it to everybody in this particular call, is that how you can enhance, sharpen your skills by bringing in some sort of a digital experience or digital, kind of expertise within your own engineering work, right? So that is something everybody in this call. I think we need to look at it retrospect and see how you can actually put across that. Okay, so I see a lot of questions coming in. Please do come. Please do keep your questions coming in to us. Our team is actually picking a few of the questions which we will definitely answer as part of this particular session. So please keep posting in your questions actually. So we will spend some good amount of time on answering some of your questions. Okay, so I think maybe if I have to summarize the discussions over here, I would say that I think the key key part is that energy whether it is power or oil and gas, it is transforming, right? There is a lot of kind of a transformation which is happening, right? You might call it as a disruption. We call it as a transformation, right? So energy in the form it is currently available, it is going to transform. It is going to be there. It will be taking new avatars, or it will be taking new forms, right? So Patrick spoke about how the power plant, or how the power side of the business, or how the power companies are actually transforming themselves, trying to see how they can actually become more efficient. They can upgrade the equipment, make them more like more sustainable or less harmful for their environment, and all of those aspects that he spoke about, right? Krishnan basically gave a perspective of oil and gas. Oil and gas is going to stay here, guys. Don't worry, or don't fret about your career. If you have chosen oil and gas as a career, it's going to be there for a long time. But it is going to, of course, there will be a transition. There will be some sort of a change, and we all need to embrace that particular change. Okay, and then I think Ajay touched upon this point of how digital is getting influencing any of the work that we are doing, right? Today we are talking about generative AI. We are talking about how technology is helping us, accelerate our work. Earlier it used to take good amount of time to maybe put a product into the market. Now the time is actually shrinking up. People are becoming more and more competitive. They are becoming more and more, products are becoming more and more intelligent, right? So I think with that, maybe let's take few questions from the audience. I think let's see if I can direct it to the right audience, right panelist over here, right? Maybe the first question, right? Krishnan, there is a question, interesting question, which I looked about. Hey, I'm a chemical engineer, right? So what is the guidance that you would like to give to all chemical engineers who are there in this particular call? I'm just generalizing the question. People.
Yeah. So whoever asked that question, I can tell you, chemical engineers are in super demand. Okay, and it's going to continue. Yeah. So at the end of the day, yes, energy industry, yes, as a whole, there will be transition from oil and gas. But having said that, as I said earlier, petrochemicals, fertilizers, and all that processes will still have to happen. And all that it's a process industry, right? And chemical engineers are the king here. Yeah. So coming back to the question, yes, absolutely, chemical engineering is a great place to be. If you are a chemical engineer, either a fresh graduate or an experienced person, I think there are great opportunities in this industry. Yeah. So I would encourage you, great place, and you can make a great career there. Yeah.
I would maybe give a perspective from what you earlier said, right? We are talking about greenhouse gases. We are talking about how we can reduce their impact on the atmosphere, right? So if you have to study the impact of the greenhouse gas, you need to understand the chemical processes which basically are generating, or which is when a chemical process works, what kind of greenhouse gases it generates, right?
Absolutely.
So the knowledge of that particular entire process is absolutely important if you want to curtail, or if you want to eliminate greenhouse gases.
Absolutely.
So chemical engineering as
well as things like hydrogen, or say carbon sequestration,
Yes.
or biofuels. So everywhere there is a need for chemical engineers.
Absolutely, and bringing in that digital piece, if there are some simulation skills, which can be complementary built along with your chemical engineering portfolio, I think that will be a perfect combination for any kind of industry to, maybe provide some lot of good opportunity. Okay, fantastic, right? So thanks, Krishnan, for that perspective. Okay, now I think maybe Ajay, I'll direct this next question to you. One question on again, same, generalizing it for electrical engineering, right? You spoke about grid. You spoke about like how the transmission. Patrick spoke about how the transmission and distribution industry is undergoing a change, right? So how do you see again electrical engineering professionals who are there in this particular call? So what is the kind of suggestions would you like to give, Ajay?
Yeah, absolutely, Sandil. So when it comes to electrical engineering, in energy space mainly, I'm talking. So I see suddenly last 1 or 2 years, there is a big surge in the demand, and I'll come where it is. Okay. So when it comes to the transmission and distribution, so last 1 decade, that area was very stable. and I see sudden growth coming, and mainly for HVDC. And anytime those HVDC transmission line has to come, you have to put the substation, you have to put all other subsystem related to electrical equipments and all, and it drive the entire ecosystem for electrical equipments. That's what we have seen. More also, the control engineering. So many of electrical engineering students, they study the control also. They go together. Many electives also coming. I see a good demand where either existing power plant where we need to upgrade those control system, as well as the new control. When they sell the new machines, you have to configure or develop this new control system for those equipments. So I see a good requirement in the energy space for electrical engineer, and it is not, as I was mentioning, it is not for next 1 or 2 years. I see it for long. It is a long-term projects which we are talking here. So maybe energy space is the good space for electrical engineer for next 1 decade, and of course after that it will continue.
Absolutely, Ajay. I think I would like to underline the fact that, when you're talking about transmission and distribution systems, right, electrical engineering is at the core, right?
Yes.
And the engineering skills, complemented with the right knowledge of tools, right, simulation tools as they call it, power system studies, knowledge, all of them are actually in great demand, right? So I think you would agree to this particular point, right? Because again, you can increase an amount of renewables, within the energy ecosystem, but the renewable energy need to be integrated with the grid, and that is where all these technologies are needed. And there is actually a shortage of talent in that particular space, right? So I think that'll be a perfect, it can create a lot of beautiful opportunity over here, right? Maybe with that, Patrick, one interesting question which has come over is, hey, what is the future of the coal-based thermal power plants, right? So what's going to happen to all the thermal power plants, right? I mean, so any perspectives on that, Patrick?
Well, I think there's been a couple of good topics that have popped up during the discussion here. And I think data analytics, we talked about digital twins. You got to think about condition-based maintenance. I mean, our customers are thinking about things very differently today. So when you think about like an old coal power plant, right, they don't want to go in and do the traditional maintenance on those anymore. They'd love to use data analytics, condition-based maintenance to do more of what I would call surgical maintenance. What can I go in and spend the least amount of money on to maintain this facility until I can get to maybe a retirement point or some other point in its scheduled life, versus just doing a full-on cost rebuild or maintenance inspection point. So I think, and then I saw another thing in here, somebody popped up about kind of DCS instrumentation stuff. Again, I really do think from a monitoring and diagnostic, condition-based maintenance, analytics perspective, I think a company like this utilizing engineers to really bring value to folks that are operating these facilities. I think, a power plant guy, their core competency is really operating and maintaining that system. Their core competency isn't really looking at what I can do in terms of reliabilities for the systems or for the components. So there's a lot of value that could be added to really allow these assets to either get a longer life or become a more integral part of a renewable world going forward.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We still have a couple of questions, but I think we are on top of the hour. So a couple of maybe few kind of parting point of view from my end is like, guys, things are changing, right? Energy industry is transforming. So I would basically suggest all of you in this particular call, especially the participants, is like, be ready for the change, okay, and be ready to change as well, right? Because the change change is key over here, right? So I think with that, again, I would like to thank all of the participants, for their time, and I would also thank so much for the panelists as well for your perspectives. This is again from our Quest Global point of view. I think everybody on this particular call. This is not a one-time affair. We're going to run this particular sessions continuously. We're going to bring in different perspectives with new panelists, so new topics, to discuss. But of course, the focus is going to be on what kind of careers that you can shape within the energy vertical, right? So we're going to focus mainly on the energy side, at least the team over here. But looking forward to the fruitful discussions. Please come in. Please put in your questions. If not this, next time we'll definitely try to answer those particular questions in a much more better fashion, right? So with that, I think I would say thank you so much once again to all of our participants and also to all of our panelists and also the team who have worked tirelessly behind the scenes to make this event a success. So thank you so much. Yeah, you take care.
Thank you, everyone.
Great.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much.